almost like the Flashpoint, where it starts, one of the key matrix lines that will help shatter this status central line. It's criminal!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Flashpoint Radio, and I am your host, Jay-Z. Thank you for joining me. It is Wednesday, May 30th, 2012. I am looking different every day, and I feel, well, a lot cooler. It's a lot breezier outside without a beard and long, shaggy hair. We're going to get right into a news blitz this evening. And, well, the story of the week, or the story that began Memorial Day week, was the zombie attack in Miami. And we've got more information on it. Of course, they said it was bath salts, which is the new LSD, which bath salts has no connection with LSD, but the police and the authorities just use terms like they have no idea what they're talking about, because they probably have no idea what they're talking about. Read this article, links in description below, from Gawker. Grab your broomstick. The zombie apocalypse may actually be upon us. It goes through a number of stories out of Florida. Leading up to that, a mysterious rash at MacArthur High School that launched a hazmat investigation. 2 days later, Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport, the source of an unknown chemical that sent 5 people to the hospital. We covered that on Flashpoint Radio. I believe that was an aerosol hairspray can, maybe. 41-year-old Zachary Bird on 5/20 spit blood in a patrolman's face, allegedly. He was also extremely agitated and enraged. Repeatedly banged his head on the patrol car until it bled. Another rash at a Broward County school. A Canadian man in an airplane that just landed in Miami went crazy on an American Airlines flight. And then on Saturday, we had Rudy Eugene attack someone on a causeway and eat his face off. They decided that it was drugs, had to be drugs. But I found this from Above Top Secret. Somebody put together a link of some other stories, and a lot of the underlying theme to these stories is rabies. Suspected human rabies exposure surge in Palm Beach, Florida, 5/11. Atlanta man bitten by rabid bat. Florida raccoon tested positive for rabies. We've got more rabies alert in Suwannee County, Florida. Man bites woman in Westchester. The flesh-eating disease in Georgia. Who knows? But they're so quick to say it's drugs, of course, because what does drugs do? If it's rabies, then the government can't ask you for more money to fight rabies, because we know what causes rabies. But if it's drugs, the cops can take more of your tax dollars to create a bigger police state, to keep them employed, and to keep the private prisons full of prisoners when they should be treated as social rejects and not criminal rejects. But what do you expect in America? How about a signpost of the collapse? We always talk about financial collapse and what might come in Wall Street, but from Reuters, Dewey files for Chapter 11 in record law firm collapse. Law firm Dewey and LaBeouf, LLP, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection on Monday, and that is the biggest law firm bankruptcy in the history of the United States. And there are some other law firms saying if it can happen to them, can it happen to everyone? That's another thing. You know, I didn't even think about law firms collapsing, but that's a good thing. We need less lawyers. We need to be filing less litigation. We need to be solving our problems man to man and through discussion and debate, not by litigation and trying to squeeze cents and dollars out of people that probably can't pay it. But some people that should be sued, probably Planned Parenthood. For all of you liberals who believe that Planned Parenthood provides a good service to people, you need to really stop lying to yourself, and everyone needs to stop lying to yourself. From the Daily Caller, pro-life group's hidden camera footage shows complicity in sex-selective abortions. The pro-life group Live Action says Planned Parenthood and other U.S. abortion providers are willing to assist in the termination of baby girls for pregnant women who choose abortion because they want to have a boy. Video in the link below. Please watch it. It's hidden camera video out of Austin, Texas. And they say, quote, in this video, what is astounding is that Rebecca, the Planned Parenthood counselor, starts arranging with the actor about how to get a late-term abortion. To wait until her pregnancy is so developed that, and using Medicaid for this, using the state to pay for the ultrasound to determine the sex of the baby, and then do a late-term abortion if it was a little girl. Oh, how sweet those people at Planned Parenthood are. They just want your kids to practice safe sex. They don't want to be in the business of murdering children. Quit lying to yourself. If you think abortion is not murder, quit lying to yourself. We can have a discussion all day about if it's a woman's right to have an abortion, but we cannot have a discussion about whether or not it's the death of a life, because it's a death of a life. And as you see, the people that make money off it are now being complicit when it comes to choosing what sex you want. Sounds a lot like China to me, doesn't it to you? And also to all those other liberals who believe the Democrats they love the earth and they love freedom and they love natural health and they don't like the health corporations and all of the conglomerates. From Natural News by Mike Adams, not a single Democrat voted in favor of ending FDA raids on raw milk farmers. Rand Paul, U.S. Senator, Republican, introduced an amendment that would have ended armed FDA raids on raw milk farmers and legalized free speech about the curative properties of medicinal herbs, nutritional supplements, and superfoods. Are you curious as to how many Democrats voted in favor of this? 0. 15 Republicans, not a lot, voted for it. 0 Democrats, that's 85% of the Senate, doesn't care about the freedom, and they want to continue raiding Amish farmers who are selling raw milk to their neighbors. And they want to prevent people from saying taking herbs and earthy substances to help your health is illegal. They want to make sure that stays illegal, so the pharmaceuticals have less competition, so the big dairy farms have less competition. Gosh, our elected officials love us so much. Well, they love us so much that they're watching everything we do. As we've profiled in the past, the NSA Super Center out in Utah being built from the Daily Mail Online revealed hundreds of words to avoid using online if you don't want the government spying on you. And they include pork, cloud, and Mexico. Yes, we have to go to the British press again to get stories about how our government is surveilling us and taking away our freedom of privacy. The list is just ridiculous. Of course, there's some that you would possibly think are realistic to be watching for when I don't think they should be watching for anything. But go figure, vaccine. If you say things like vaccine, or CDC, or symptoms, you might be a terrorist. Recall, you might be a terrorist. Canceled? Mexico, again? Electric? You might be a terrorist. Give me a break. And yes, they're building that super center in Utah because it can watch everything and compile everything and use computers to ferret out the terrorists. Aren't you glad that a computer is going to decide whether or not you're a terrorist? And it's a good thing. From the New York Times, they've got stories about the gunshot detectors. Yes, those things at every crosswalk in some cities that look like a little foam box. Yes, that's a speaker and used to hear you, and they state it's for pinpointing gunshots, but they don't state that it can also listen to people audibly. And well, maybe they're listening to the words that we just went over and that are in that previous article, and they might be listening for dissenters in this police state. And when they find that you're a terrorist because of what you said on the internet, or you said something very bad on a street corner, they're going to send the police after you. And AOL Autos says the new police siren you can actually feel. The Howler, which uses low-frequency vibration that can be felt up to 200 feet away. Noise Off, a coalition aimed at reducing noise pollution and that is against it, says the siren easily triggers an involuntary stress response commonly known as fight or flight. This results in the secretion of adrenaline, with ensuing spikes in cardiorespiratory rates, muscle tension, and elevated blood pressure. Yes, when I'm driving and I can't hear a siren, I'm glad that I'll be able to hear it, and it will make me go crazy in the middle of my car, and while in the middle of the highway or a street, sounds safe to me. But Bartow Officer Brian Dorman said, I don't know if I could go back to a regular siren and feel safe with it. Really, Brian? Oh, wow. The sirens is what keeps you safe on the road? It's not your defensive driving skills and the fact that you should be trained to deal with that? No, it's the siren that you can feel. Just another way for the police and the government to get under your skin. But as we know, it's not just the government, the overt government agencies that are spying on us, but also the hidden government agencies that cloak themselves in private industry. From the Times of India, how Google used tech to pry into people's lives. Well, as you've known, Google has been under litigation and under scrutiny for their Street View camera cars in 10 states, I believe, or no, a dozen countries, and it had 4 inquiries in the U.S. alone. But we profiled earlier in Flashpoint Radio that the United States government just dropped the case. Google wouldn't comply with the orders that the government gave them, and so the government dropped the case. Why? Because Google was set up by InQtel, IN-Q-TEL, the funding arm of the Central Intelligence Agency and the Department of Defense. It's where they give seed money to companies to build things that they need. And then they let them go into private industry and use proprietary technology that was developed by taxpayer dollars and use it to make a billion-dollar company, to spy on us, and then not have any scrutiny in the United States. Isn't that just grand? Well, at least the rest of the world is prying into Google's activities, even if our country won't. So maybe we'll have to read some more foreign press to find out the truth. And finally, on Flashpoint Radio, your favorite president of all time, Barack Obama. From the Washington Times, Obama signs reauthorization of Export-Import Bank despite earlier opposition. Just to prove how double-talking and two-faced lying all politicians are, George W. Bush included, Ronald Reagan included, Bill Clinton, George H.W. Bush included, Mitt Romney included, all of them included, Barack Obama on Wednesday signed a reauthorization of the Export-Import Bank that would raise its lending authority 40% to $140 billion. This is a bailout for a 78-year-old bank, a private bank. And Republicans quickly accused the president of hypocrisy. Why? Because they pointed out that he had called this bank, quote, little more than a fund for corporate welfare during the 2008 campaign and promised to eliminate it. He promised to eliminate it. Now he gives it a bailout. Don't you love how the government loves you? Bailouts for Wall Street banks. Wait a minute. George W. Bush did that. Then Barack Obama did that. Wait a minute. Mitt Romney comes from financing and capital. You think he'll bail out large companies that are too big to fail? I think so. He'll do it before he bails out any individual citizens. I don't believe in welfare for anybody. But if anybody's going to get welfare, at least give it to individuals so they can decide what to do with it, not corporations. Wake up, people. Stop lying to yourself. And you might say, what do you mean stop lying to yourself? You know, whatever it is you're lying to yourself about, stop. Wake up. Face reality. Come back and see me next time on Flashpoint Radio. Jay-Z signing off saying God bless and keep your eyes to the sky.